This Monday.com ad was created by a team of people and AI agents. Reese, our content agent, wrote the copy based on our best practices, like mentioning Monday.com 3 times. That was the second. Johnny, our coordination agent, built the timeline and kept everyone aligned. Olivia, our human creative director, stayed in the loop. Because agents are great, but they don't always know when a joke lands. She had one note: tell listeners it only takes minutes to build an agent. So, minutes. Create your own AI agent today on Monday.com.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I'm your host, JoAnn Crone. Hello, my Lolas. How are you today? Oh, I have a story to tell you this week, and it is going to relate to something that you feel so much in your own life. In my coaching, and when women come to me in Inner Circle, they are constantly saying how they feel guilty for doing something for themselves. In fact, every month in Inner Circle, I send out this monthly check-in and I read everybody's check-ins. In this month in July, I saw a huge trend in the wins. I ask you, like, what has been your wins this month? People told me their wins and then it was automatically apologizing, but I didn't do this, or saying how they deserve their wins based on something else they did, such as like, oh, I went to all these concerts and it was so well deserved because I did this, this, and this. Almost like if you have fun, if you do something for yourself, it first has to be earned. Do you feel that way? Well, I'm going to tell you about something other sneaky thing that happens when you do good things for yourself. It's that feeling that you have done something wrong, that you can't relax doing things for yourself because you feel in some way that you're bad. So I'm going to give you an example from my own life, and we're going to talk about how to first recognize this is happening in your life, and then we're going to dig into what to do about it. So let's get on with the show. Okay, let me take you back to my Friday, because on paper, like, this was one of the most relaxing days I've had in a very, very long time. And I almost ruined it all completely at the end of the day. Here's what happened. I am going to this thing called dynamic stretching. It's offered at my gym. It feels a little extravagant, but it has done more for me than anything in the past. And what dynamic stretching is my coach, Brandon, he guides me through these series of stretches where he is stretching me. So, for example, my hamstrings have been extremely tight after I tore them in September. Well, one of them I tore in September doing something utterly dumb. I was in my improv class and I decided to do the splits to be funny. Couldn't do the splits. I haven't been able to do the splits for a very long time. I don't know why it occurred to me, oh, I should do the splits. But yeah, I went down into the splits and I felt like a pop on the back of my leg. I was limping for probably about 3 weeks, and it's been a really hard road since, always feeling that pain, that knot in the back of my leg. So that's why I decided to go dynamic stretching. I've been doing it for a month, and not only is it relaxing getting stretched, like everything seems to loosen up, my lower back loosens up, but it's just like a fun time. I just get to sit there and somebody else does the work for me. I mean, what's wrong about that? Really? Yes. So in describing this, you can hear how I feel a little bit of guilt that I'm doing dynamic stretching. In fact, telling you about this, I am rationalizing in my own head about, oh my gosh, well, like, you can afford this, JoAnn, or how lucky for you, JoAnn. Like, all those voices are attacking me right now as I tell you about this. And I think it's something very specific that we tend to do. We think that we have to somehow deserve the good things we get in life. So on Friday, had this dynamic stretching session. Also, it aligned with a facial. I schedule facials for myself every month. I love them. I think it is part of a really good skincare routine. It keeps my face non-wrinkly. I don't know if it's non-wrinkly. It could be genetics as well. So please don't hate me as I say this, but it is also very enjoyable. And I had a gap in between. So I'm like, I'm going to schedule a massage for myself in there too. Now, this may seem like too much. If you have not ever allowed yourself the time to do this for yourself, you might be listening to this and you might be getting mad at me. And I want you to pay attention to those thoughts if they come up. If those sayings in your head come up that, oh my gosh, well, lucky for her, I could never do that because of this, this, and this. Just pay attention to that. Or maybe you're saying, oh, I should really do that for myself, but I'd feel so bad after I did it. Same girl, same. I feel the same way. I actually texted my husband right after the massage and I was like, oh my gosh, this massage therapist, Alan, he's the best ever. You should definitely book an appointment with him. I got silence. And I thought to myself, he's mad at me, right? Have you ever done that? If you text somebody and you're already feeling guilty yourself and you project that guilt almost onto the other person thinking that, oh, you did do something bad and they are mad at you. So this continued throughout the afternoon. He wasn't texting me back. And I just kept spiraling. I was like, he's mad at me. He's thinking I'm too much. He's thinking, how dare JoAnn spend this money on herself? I earned the money. How dare she spend it? Right? It's such twisted thoughts in there. And he would never say any of those things to me, by the way, ever, ever, ever. These are all things that I am imagining in my own head. And I'm only sharing them with you in the hopes that perhaps you say these things to yourself as well. So he came home and I was really ready to be like, are you mad at me? Is everything okay? How did work go? Are you mad I got a massage? And if you've ever been on the other side of the "are you mad at me" comments, you might find them extremely aggravating. I know I have when I've been on the other side of them. I stop myself. I breathe because what was going on here wasn't that I did anything bad. It wasn't that my husband was mad at me for taking time to myself. It was I was feeling guilty for doing these things because it was so new for me to spend this much time and energy and money on myself that I took that discomfort and I projected it onto him. Now, thankfully, that is where it stopped. But where it becomes really dangerous is when you don't realize it's happening and you start projecting it onto the other people. And the other people are like, what? I have no idea what you're talking about. Maybe you're telling everybody, oh, you're disrespecting me. You don't think I should go and spend time for yourself. Oh, you're thinking I should stay home all the time. When really those people don't have those thoughts at all. Or if they have those thoughts, they're not saying it out loud. So they could keep it to themselves. What is happening here is something I like to call the guilt slide. And if you are on this guilt slide and you don't know it, there is going to be a lot more damage that incurs unless you take yourself off by acknowledging it. And sometimes the biggest thing that you could do for yourself is to acknowledge it and give it a name. The guilt slide works like a slippery slope. One small ambiguous event happens. Maybe it's the decision you took to, I'm going to go and work at a coffee shop instead of working in my home office. Or I'm going to go and take this dance class that I've always wanted to take. In my case, it was just, I'm going to go get a massage. And then there was the unanswered text. Maybe in your life, it's what you perceive as a snide comment when you talk to them, or that they're looking down instead of looking right at you. And that little small neutral thing, your guilt takes it and slides it into something much bigger. So tell me if you've ever noticed this pattern in your own life. Step 1, something good happens for you. You rest, you spend money on yourself, you take time away from your family. Maybe you say no to something. And then step 2, a completely neutral, ambiguous event happens. Someone doesn't respond right away. Someone seems a little more quiet than usual, or maybe their tone is a little different than usual. Step 3, your guilt grabs you and it takes that neutral event and turns it into proof that, yes, you are the horrible person that you thought you were. and that person thinks so, and that person thinks so. And that proof is something that you did something wrong, and that proof that people are upset at you, that you're not worthy, that your own self-worth is so low, and that you should feel bad about the good thing that you just did. And then step 4 is you start looking for more evidence. You start pulling that stuff out of the environment around you. You scan every interaction for confirmation. Like nobody's chatting with you, that's proof too. And now your whole nervous system is on high alert, hunting for reasons to feel guilty. That's the slide. One totally ambiguous event propelled by guilt that takes over. And suddenly you believe that your whole family's upset at you, all over doing something good for yourself. You can't relax. You can't enjoy it. Everything just goes completely downhill. Has it happened to you? Well, now you have a name for it. And in Inner Circle, we like to call this voice our Bob. Bob is that inner critical little saying inside you saying that, oh, you shouldn't do that and you shouldn't do this. And we ask each other all the time in Inner Circle, okay, what is Bob telling you right now? Or my Bob's being a jerk right now. And Bob is the voice that takes something that is completely neutral and turns it into this personal indictment. And on Friday, my Bob had a field day. Bob was telling me my husband was mad. My kids were annoyed with me. I was somehow too much. And that I'd done something selfish by taking care of my own body. None of that is true. None of it's true. But Bob doesn't need it to be true because Bob just wants to keep you safe. And everything that seems new or that seems different that you do, Bob is going to have some kind of criticism or something to say. Growing up, I was terrified to spend money. It wasn't about not having it. It was the guilt. Every time I wanted something, I felt like I shouldn't even ask for it. So I just didn't. That guilt followed me straight into adulthood. That's basically been my money story. Guilt first, math never. Until Monarch. Now I see where our money actually goes instead of guessing. And a chunk was quietly vanishing into the meal delivery apps we used. The weekly AI recap catches that now before it's a problem. And my favorite part, asking Monarch AI's assistant instead of digging through reports and using it to map out big goals since we're about to have a kid headed to college. Write your own money story with Monarch. Use code NOGUILT at monarch.com to get your first year of Monarch Core half off at just $50. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code NOGUILT. You know what I wish existed when my kids were little? Great Wolf Lodge. An indoor water park inside your hotel where it's always 84 degrees, especially living in Phoenix where the sidewalks burn your toes. That would have been amazing. At Great Wolf Lodge, the whole family gets to splash around in a massive indoor water park with a wave pool, a lazy river, and water slides that you can all ride together. But here's what's really cool about it. They also have Magi Quest, which is a live action adventure game kids play throughout the entire lodge. It's like the magic never stops and your kids are always occupied. Between the Northern Lights Arcade, the great dining options, and the complimentary dance parties nightly, there's genuinely something for everyone all under one roof. No packing up and driving somewhere every hour. No, I'm bored. Just connection, fun, and honestly, a little magic for you too. With 22 lodges across the country, there's probably one close to you. Check it out at greatwolf.com and bring your pack together. I remember the first time we started allowance with my daughter, I told her, yes, of course you can buy that. How much do you have in your allowance? And that question changed everything because suddenly she was doing the math, not me. We went to a musical and she walked up to the merch stand, looked at a t-shirt and went, $40? That's so much money. That sentence never came out of her mouth before she had her own money to think about. That's exactly what Cash App's managed accounts for kids 6 to 12 are built for. Whether it's $5 from allowance or $40 birthday money from grandma, it all counts and it all stays with them as they grow up. No subscription fees, no minimum balance, just real practice making real decisions while you're still the one guiding it from your own app. If you're ready to start teaching money habits without adding more stress to your plate, download Cash App and set up a managed account for your child today. For a limited time, new Cash App customers who are parents can use our exclusive referral code FAMILY10 to earn $10. Download Cash App, enter the referral code in your profile, send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you will receive $10. Terms apply. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Cash App Visa debit flex cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC, and the Bancorp Bank NA, pursuant to a license from Visa USA Inc. See terms and conditions for the Sutton prepaid card, Sutton debit flex card, and Bancorp debit flex card. Savings and offers provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Parents and legal guardians can open a managed account for kids 6 to 12. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures about it. Because the guilt slide isn't triggered by something bad happening. It's triggered by something good happening for you, followed by anything that's remotely ambiguous. That combination is what Bob really holds on to. It's kind of like manifesting. If you have heard of the concept of manifestation, it's basically saying that good things will happen to you and then seeing them happen around you. Now, the real reason that manifestation tends to work is that when you believe that good things are going to happen to you, your brain starts picking out those opportunities that will allow those good things to occur in the future. The same goes with this guilt slide. If your brain believes that you did something bad, your brain is going to start picking out those opportunities to confirm that you, in fact, did something bad. And it doesn't want to do anything else but to prove you right all the time, which is so important that you're able to see what is happening and you're able to get yourself out of it. So how do you get off this slide? This is a slide that nobody wants to sign up for. It's that slide at the water park that has the little chute that opens up under your feet and sends you plummeting down. No one wants to go on that slide. I don't even want to hear about it if you want to go on that slide at the water park, because all that slide leaves you is this plummeting terror down a dark hole, and then you end up with a wedgie. It's just not the slide that you want to be on. How do you get off of it? I hope that image was really great for you, by the way. So, step 1, acknowledge it. And you listening to this episode right now, you may be nodding along and saying, "Oh, I've so done this, JoAnn." That's the first step. You just have to name that it's happening. You can name that out loud or in your head. You can say, "Okay, here's Bob. He's being a real asshole today. Cool." Or "Here's why this feels uncomfortable to me." And for me on Friday, I knew what was happening. I knew through coaching many women through this that it was my guilt taking over, but it doesn't make it feel any less real just acknowledging that. I want to put that out there. Just because you acknowledge it doesn't mean the uncomfortable feelings are going to go away. It's just going to stop you from taking those uncomfortable feelings further and trying to prove that everybody's out to get you, or your relationships are awful, or that you're an awful person, because you're not an awful person. You're amazing. And the one thing that I want for you is to have that greater sense of self-worth. So acknowledging it is the first part. And I also want you to know that it is not your brain punishing you for doing something good for yourself. Let's reframe that. It is your brain just taking a new, unfamiliar situation and being like, "I don't know what to do about this thing. This has never happened before." And that's why the guilt happens. But we so often misinterpret it to mean that we are flawed as individuals. And this is just not the case. This wasn't actually about my husband being mad at me. This was about my own discomfort with taking up space and doing something just for me. And maybe you have that discomfort too. Could we acknowledge that just a little bit? So that's step one, just acknowledge it. And now step two, oh, you're not going to like this one. It's just to wait. You don't let your feeling color your reaction. You need to wait the sucker out because this is the step that's going to protect your most cherished relationships. Instinct to go ask, are you mad at me? Are you mad at me? Over and over, seeking that reassurance. Because let's just put a pin in this for a second. Sometimes you do need to ask someone, did I do something wrong? Especially if you had maybe some conflict, maybe it's a work situation and there's some kind of power differential between you and an employee, for instance. It is totally natural to be like, hey, is something bothering you? And to open up that pathway to discussion. That's great. What I'm talking about here is the asking, are you mad at me? And then if somebody tells you their response, no, I'm not mad at you. I'm just thinking about this one other thing. And then not believing them and trying to seek that reassurance because that answer they gave you, oh, your Bob doesn't want to believe that's the answer. Your Bob wants to be like, I don't believe them. They're hiding things. They're trying to save my feelings. They're not telling me the truth. I need to ask over and over again because in my heart of hearts, I know I'm a horrible person. And what I did right there took up space and they just need to admit it to me. That's the trap that I don't want you to fall into. So not letting your feeling color your reaction is a hard thing to do. And actually, I used to do this. I used to let my feelings color my reactions because this is something that I saw growing up happen. My mom asked me, are you mad at me? And she asked my dad, are you mad at me? This is just how I saw people interact. And it took my husband actually calling me out on it and telling me he got annoyed by it to stop doing it myself. Now, that may seem like my husband was unnecessarily harsh, but honestly, that is the best thing you can do for a person. Telling them your own feelings about a behavior. And then all that other person's job is to accept it. And yes, it might hurt and it might sting at first, but in the long run, it makes for a much healthier, much more stable relationship. And that's what my husband gave to me when he called me out on my behavior. It was so hard to hear, but it was exactly what I needed to hear because it's hard to change a behavior if you don't know what you're doing. So if you have someone in your life who does call you out on those things, treasure them, thank them for the feedback. Take a little moment to process the feedback because if you're an ADHD girly like I am and have that rejection sensitive dysphoria, if you don't know what that is, I have a whole podcast episode about it. I will link to it in the notes. That feedback might feel harsh. It might feel harsh. It might hit you to the bone. You might feel like it even impacts your self-worth greater. All valid feelings, but trust me, they do go away once you process them. They do. They will gently settle into your system and you will have a totally new mode of operating. And you may even tend to like that feedback given to you a little bit more. So what happens if you don't wait? If you don't wait this feeling out, this feeling that you are guilty, you are a bad person, and you're trying to get this reassurance from other people that no, you're not a bad person and you should have taken that massage. You're actually a wonderful person, which they'll never tell you because that's not their job. But if you don't wait, you project your discomfort onto other people. And over time, that erodes relationships. The other person starts to feel like they're constantly being accused of something that they didn't do. And that gets exhausting for them real fast. I've been on both sides of this. It is awful. Because when somebody's accusing you of constantly being mad at them, you don't feel like you're seen as a person. You don't feel like they have taken time to attune to your feelings or acknowledge your part in this relationship. You constantly feel like you're comforting them instead of them being, oh, this is how they act when they're having a hard day. Okay, yeah, I'm not going to take that personally. I'm going to let them go through their emotions too. That's the way healthy relationships are. So I want to put that out there for you. You're not doing anything wrong. The more you can see how your behavior and you seeking comfort from other people affects your relationships, the better off you're going to be in the long run. And what else is funny? You're going to start being able to pick that out from other people's behaviors. And if it did to me, like if it does to you what it did to me, you're going to start getting annoyed by it.
Do you or someone you care about have questions about GLP-1s and cancer or breast cancer or just women's health in general? If so, tune in to Boobalicious wherever you get your podcasts. We're bringing you powerful conversations featuring top medical experts and inspiring celebrities who've walked down that cancer path themselves. We also have a special QR code for our most popular show. Go to Instagram at BoobaliciouSPod and click on the QR code to unlock episodes full of insight and tips. You can find Boobalicious wherever you get your podcasts.
It as well. So when you're waiting, can I recommend you start giving yourself some self-compassion? And no, that's not a woo-woo in the sky term. There are actual specific steps that you could do. We practice this a lot in Inner Circle. The first one is to acknowledge that you're hurting. You are feeling discomfort. You are feeling pain. You did something totally new that you're like, my inner self doesn't like this. It's really uncomfortable. Name that discomfort. The second part is other people in your same situation would probably have the same reaction you are right now. Other people who have never taken time for themselves, who aren't used to taking up space, would also feel this guilt. So you're not alone in your guilt here. This is what I was telling myself. I know this for a fact that other people feel this guilt just because of how much coaching I do and the women I work in Inner Circle. That's why I'm so glad you're listening to this podcast, because listening to this, I hope that you hearing this makes you feel less alone, to know that other women experience this guilt too. And the third part of self-compassion is to give yourself some comfort. Wrap yourself in your coziest sweatshirt ever. Find that really soft blanket. Maybe go cuddle on your bed and read a book and just treat yourself really, really nicely as you wait out this feeling that somehow you did something wrong and that you are unworthy. Because that feeling, to put it lightly, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. And give yourself that comfort, because if you don't give yourself that comfort, it's going to come out in other ways. You're going to be snappy. You're going to be irritable, all because you did not take that needed space for yourself to give yourself that comfort when you're feeling bad. The third step, we talked about two already. Let's just go through them. First, acknowledge that the guilt slide is happening. Second, start to wait that feeling of uncomfortableness out with doing something for yourself. And then when you feel ready, redirect that uncomfortable feeling. And what I mean here is make that move to give your brain something else to do. Because if your brain is anything like mine, if you have a chance just to be like, oh, I should just relax and try not to think of it. How's that working for you? It never works for me. I always think of this example where people are told, okay, there's a polar bear standing in your living room. Don't think about the polar bear. What do you think about first? The polar bear. Same thing happens if you're told not to think about something that upsets you. All you'll do is think about that thing. The better thing to do is to redirect onto another activity that can occupy your brain space instead. This is just to give your brain something to do. It's not to fix the situation. It's not to make you feel better. It is just giving your brain a nice activity. So I like to walk my dog if it's not like 115 degrees outside. Thank you, Phoenix. As it is right now, that option is not available to me. So if it's not available to me, I can go to the gym. I can pull out my walking treadmill, which if you're looking on YouTube, here, I'll pull it. Look, it's right here. It's by my desk. It's standing against the wall. I have a standing desk, which I lift up. And so that when I'm working, I could walk and I could redirect my thoughts. I usually dance on my treadmill. It's really great. I should do like a show, dancing on your treadmill while trying to produce a podcast. Great show idea. If writing is something you like, you could write, listen to music. Something that I discovered very, very recently is drawing. I found on TikTok a workbook called This Isn't a Sketchbook, it's a drawing class. And it is ingenious. And I'll put the link to it in the show notes. It has little QR codes that you can scan on each page. And the QR codes connect to the author's YouTube lesson on whatever you're supposed to practice on that page. And she shows you how to do it. And then you're let loose and practice that skill on that page. It is amazingly cathartic. It's meditative for me, and I'm speaking as somebody with ADHD because the act of drawing and the exercises that I'm given in that requires so much of my brain power. I mean, for example, the one I'm working on right now is all about mapping, where it has a design in one box and you're supposed to copy that design to another box. But to do that, you're basically setting up a grid and you're looking at, okay, this is a quarter of the way across. I need to put my line a quarter of the way across. I need to connect it to a third. Like there's a lot to think about. And that helps me when I'm in a really anxious state. It helps me mellow out and soothe. So if you think that would help you too, I'll put the link for you in the show notes. I really enjoy it. Another thing you could do, you can maybe cook something delicious and yummy. Anything hands-on and absorbing that isn't scrolling your phone, waiting for the response for the text to come in or waiting for a response from another person. Something to keep your mind busy because the goal isn't to numb the feeling. It's just to give it that room to pass without dragging everyone around you in it while it does. Because you've already done the two most important things. You've acknowledged the feeling. You've given yourself self-compassion. Now we just need to wait it out. We need to wait it out to let it go away. I want you right now to think of the last time that you did something good for yourself, the last time. And then did you find a reason to feel guilty about it afterward? Like, was it the neutral event that Bob just grabbed onto? A text, a tone of voice? Maybe it was a quiet room. Think about that and ask yourself, how do I want to respond when this happens in the future? And I hope you come right back here. These are kind of things we do in Inner Circle. We make them such habits that you don't have to go and look them up each time because you use them repeatedly. So it's there to draw from whenever you're in that situation. So here's what actually happened on Friday, basically for the record. What was going on? My husband wasn't mad at me. My husband wasn't ignoring me. My husband was just busy at work. He had a ton of meetings. He couldn't get off of them to answer my text. He wasn't mad. I built an entire emotional crisis out of a delayed text message. And it was on a day where the only things that happened to me were really, really good. That is the guilt slide. It doesn't need a real problem to work with. It just needs one good thing that you did for yourself and one ambiguous moment for Bob to grab onto. So next time you notice yourself sliding, pause, take a beat. First, acknowledge you're in a guilt slide. Second, wait before you say anything to anyone else. Give yourself those steps of self-compassion. And third, find something for your mind to do and be occupied because that's going to help it pass that much faster. I want to end this with, you are allowed to enjoy the good things you do for yourself. You're allowed to enjoy them. And your guilt is only coming up because it's so new. The more you practice doing it, the more you work through the discomfort, the more often you're going to be able to take that time and space for yourself and to feel like you actually deserve it. Because you do. And you don't need to do anything productive beforehand to deserve it. If you are listening on Spotify right now, by the way, can you hit that follow button right now? It's the best way to make sure you never miss an episode, and it helps me reach more moms like you. And remember, the best mom is a happy mom. Take care of you. I'll talk with you later.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why customers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.